We're going to continue our top 10 song feature. We got Mike and Mark here. We are going to feature Supertramp. Mike is going to lead things off.
Me?
Yes,
So we're looking at, to me, let's see, one, two, what are we looking at? 5 albums. The first 2 we don't even know.
Yeah, the
I
first.
think they were pretty jazzy, and I've never heard them.
Yeah.
What are there 4 or 5 after that?
And
before Hodgson left?
And then they had the man. What was the first one with
Without Hodgson?
What was the first? Oh, the first. No. I was talking about the early stuff. Was Crime of the Century their first kind of mainstream album?
Yep.
I guess you would call it. Okay.
Yeah, the first 2 were just called Supertramp and Indelibly Stamped, I
There
believe.
you go. I don't know anything about those.
So anyway, I'll start off with my top 10. I think it was 1974 when Crime of the Century came out. And actually, I really didn't know anything about them until I went to school in Columbia and got turned on to Supertramp. I mean, I heard the radio stuff before that, but I remember really getting into them in late 77 when, for the first time, somebody played Crime of the Century for me at school. And I immediately fell in love with the song School. What do you know? I just said I got into them in school School, yeah. So that's the first song I really got into. And it's on my top 10. And the other song on Crime of the Century is the title track that I kind of ignored for years, and probably just in the last 5 or 10 years really grew to love Crime of the Century, the song really well. From the next album, Crisis What Crisis, Soapbox Opera, and Two of Us.
Two kind of unknowns there to the general listening audience.
Yeah, very much so. And the next album, Fool's Overture, the title track, and still like that today, even though it got a little bit of airplay. For a while there, I kind of didn't want to hear it anymore, but today, since I don't hear it anymore, it's still a great song. And funny thing is, in going through this list and listening to all this stuff again, I used to be into Hodgson songs so much, and not so much the Rick Davies songs. And I found now that I've got a much more appreciation for Rick Davies and his songs that I didn't have 20, 30 years ago. So also on my top 10 from Breakfast in America, I've included 2 songs that I thought would be a surprise to Mark, but evidently they weren't because they got some airplay in the day. Goodbye Stranger and Oh Darling. I love them today, much more than I did at the time when they came out. Today I really like them a lot. And of course the real proggy, one of the most proggy songs they ever did, I guess, other than Fool's Overture, Child of Vision. The last song on Breakfast in America, Roger Hodgson song, great song. And right now, I'm not sure. I think my last song on my top 10 is Don't Leave Me Now, which I believe is from the famous last words. It's on there.
Right.
I hope I have that right.
Yeah.
I should know that, but
Yeah.
Anyway, those are my top 10. As far as my honorable mention go, a couple of songs that I really liked. Sorry about that. Couple of songs that I really like from Crisis with Crisis. Easy Does It, and just a short little song, and Lady. I just love those from the when I first got into Supertramp in '77. I just love those songs to death. From Breakfast in America, another Rick Davies song, Just a Nervous Wreck. And from Famous Last Words, Crazy. And Know Who You Are, which is a song nobody's probably ever heard. That's kind of an obscure song.
Is that on Famous Last Words?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, it's not hitting me.
Yeah.
I don't know it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool Hodgson song. And then from Famous Last Words as well, a Rick Davies song, Bonnie. Again, obscure song, but it's an excellent song.
It's good though.
Yeah. And going through them again, I found out that Loverboy, I really like Loverboy. And that's from Even in the Quietest Moments. And I think earlier, did I say Fool's Overture was the title track? I meant to
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, that was an accident. From Even in the Quietest Moments. I'm missing one. I only have 7 honorable mentions on them, but that's breaking my rule. But anyway, that's my top 17.
Okay.
I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Am I losing it, or did you have Gone Hollywood on your list?
Oh, I missed that. I missed it.
Okay.
It's in my top 10.
Oh,
I skipped
okay.
it.
I thought I didn't hear it, and I was right. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that, because when Breakfast in America came out, I just immediately fell in love with that song, and it's really kind of a different song, and it's just incredible.
It's kind of a Hodgson Davies song. They both got some vocals in there, and they did that a lot.
Yeah. You can always tell it was one or the other's written song, but it was always nice to have the two singing back and forth. That's kind of one of the special parts about Supertramp. The high voice of Hodgson and the lower voice of Davies, they really complemented each other, especially when they're back and forth on it, like I said.
It's funny that you had stuff, Famous Last Words really wasn't an album that I really gave much credit to you. And you got some songs on there. I have a couple on there. It's interesting that has, we've kind of, I don't know if wised up is the word, but just giving it a chance.
Yeah.
Over the years. Okay. I'll go ahead and take over from here. My top 10 has some similarities, and definitely some differences, but I think they're good differences. Not always going to have everyone the same. Of course, my longtime favorite, Fool's Overture. I can never get tired of that. Absolutely love it. Loverboy. Always liked that a lot. School. School actually was one of the first songs I think I ever heard. But anyway, it's a great tune. Gone Hollywood, which is fantastic. The opening tune from Breakfast in America. And then here's one that it has never been on your list, and I look back and I never really thought you cared for this song. I never got it, but I've always absolutely loved it. And aside from Fool's Overture, this is my favorite Supertramp song, Hide in Your Shell. I could listen to that song over and over and over and over and never get tired of it.
I'll tell you why it's not on my list. Because it's one of the top 10 songs ever of anybody in the world, of Tina's. And whenever we're in the car, she's always requesting it.
Wow.
And I've heard it way too many times.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, that's the reason it's not on here. It is a good song. I've heard it too many times.
That's something.
There you go. That's why it's not there.
Okay. And then another one. You throwing, mine more lean towards something on the radio from this album that yours did. Sister Moonshine, again, one of the first songs I ever heard. I always loved it. It was always kind of like one of my that in school was one of my introductions to the band. So
I listened to it yesterday and going and revisiting this stuff yesterday. I listened to it and it does still sound good.
Yeah.
I got a little bit too much of it in the day. Going back to the 70s and 80s, I got a little bit too much of it. But it sounded good when I listened to it, and I came real close to adding it. And since I'm one short, that might be number 18 on my list. So,
but yeah, they did play it a lot. But there was a time after they overplayed it that boom, they cut it off and never played it again.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that being played today or any time in the last recent years.
I think about the only real song. What do they play of Supertramp? Dreamer.
Probably.
Dreamer certainly got that. Might be the number one overplayed song.
Oh God,
maybe a lot. I don't know.
Anyway, then of course I got same as my Child of Vision, and then Oh Darling, wonderful song from Breakfast in America. From Now On, from that's from Even in the Quietest Moments.
I don't have that listed, but that is another song that I just kind of ignored that I now can really appreciate Rick Davies.
Yeah, and then from Famous Last Words, wonderful Don't Leave Me Now, which it's kind of cool that you have it too, because it isn't something that it's not really very well known.
I know when we first went over these songs, and I was like, I would have bet $1 million that you wouldn't. Don't Leave Me Now was on your radar. It was kind of funny when I saw that you had it in your top 10. It's like, okay, he's paying attention.
Yeah. And so my honorable mentions, I didn't some of the album tracks or that they had, I wasn't super crazy about them, so I kind of gravitated towards the some of the radio tunes that I still love to this day. Bloody Well Right, Crazy, Goodbye Stranger, which is in my top 10, and then a couple they're probably one of their most overplayed songs, and I listened to it few times recently, and I don't know, it's Hodgson, but the Logical song, I love it. I used to despise it with, I mean, I would turn it off the minute I would hear the note. But, you know, it's more of just the chorus and Hodgson's incredible voice. I love it. And then It's Raining Again. I always liked that song. It was kind of like the last one before they kind of split apart and Hodgson went out on his own. But again, only 5 honorable mentions. But great band, like you said. You could probably come up with 20 more. I would probably come up with 10 to 20 more from this band so easily. And like I said, we didn't think of all the radio tunes that we left off this that, you know, people would say, huh? Where's where's this? Where's that? No.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that Famous Last Words being the end of Hodgson. I just remembered this. When I saw the concert for Famous Last Words, I'll never forget it. But during a break between songs, Hodgson announced to the audience that he was leaving, and I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know if we already knew that or not. And you know, maybe some people did and others didn't. I don't think I did at that point. And I remember everybody just booed like crazy when he said, "I'm going to be leaving after this tour." Yeah, it's weird, and I just don't remember where I was at that point, whether I knew it or not. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that he announced it then and got booed like crazy.
Well, that's Supertramp, and wrapping it up here. And thanks for watching. Let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. We got some new ones coming up, and we will see you soon. Thanks for watching.